welcome to our World Ocean Day for Schools episode of Mermaid Tales. My name is Marina the Mermaid, and I'm so pleased you've joined me here at the National Marine Aquarium in Plymouth so that we can celebrate the ocean. Today we'll be exploring how humans just like you can connect with our beautiful ocean. Perhaps you've connected with the ocean by swimming or paddling in the sea. Maybe you've splished and splashed with your friends and jumped over the waves. I've seen humans on the beach before, building sandcastles, playing games and having picnics too. There's lots of ways that humans like you can connect with our beautiful ocean. But one of the best things that I think you can do is search along the beach and in the rock pools looking for ocean treasures. So let's look at some ocean treasures today that you might be able to find when you visit the seaside. Okay, let's start by opening my treasure chest. I'd like you to count me down. Are you ready, everybody? 3, 2, 1. Now, let's see what we can find in here. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Does anybody know what this is? Does anyone know? If you're thinking mermaid's purse, you're absolutely correct. This is a shark egg, which is also known as a mermaid's purse. And once upon a time, there was a baby shark inside, wriggling around. And then it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it filled the whole egg case. It hatched out and it swam away, and the empty mermaid's purse got washed up on the beach. Sometimes they can look a little bit like this. This one belongs to a ray. So the next time you're at the beach, everybody, see if you can find some empty egg cases that once belonged to baby sharks and rays. Sometimes I like to hide my pennies in them. Brilliant, children. Now, if you go exploring along the shore, you might even spot some beautiful shells. Shells are the skeletons of clams, oysters and sea snails. They're quite tough and hard to protect those squishy insides. Now, once these animals come to the end of their lives, the empty shells get washed up on the beaches. One of my favourite things to do when I find a shell is listen to it, because you can actually hear the sound of the ocean, which is really incredible. Shells can come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. They can be really spiky or pointy. They can be nice and spotty. They can be smooth. They can be stripy. There's all sorts of different shells out there for you to discover on the beaches. So the next time you visit the seaside, everybody, make sure you look for as many beautiful shells as you can, and maybe even have a listen and see what you can hear. Fantastic, everybody. Now, if you go exploring the rock pools, you might see some really beautiful creatures. You might find a crab. Can you show me your crabby claws? You might find a fish. Can you show me your fishy hands? Or you might even find a beautiful starfish. Now, starfish are amazing, everybody. The largest species or type of starfish in the world is called the sunstar, and they can get 1 metre across. Can you show me what 1 metre looks like? Can you imagine a starfish that big? They can have up to 24 arms. Amazing. Now, everybody, starfish, if they get a bit scared, if there's an animal nearby that wants to gobble them up for dinner, they can actually drop an arm off, crawl away to safety. The animal that wants to eat them can just be distracted by the arm, maybe eat the arm instead, and the starfish can grow its arm back again. So isn't that an amazing way of staying safe whilst living in rock pools? I think starfish are really incredible creatures. They even have eyes, like humans and mermaids. But they don't have 2, they have 5 altogether. Can you show me your starfish hand, everybody? Can you use your other hand to guess where those 5 eyes might be? Are the 5 eyes on the top of the body? On the bottom of the starfish? On the ends of the arms? Have a think. Point to where those 5 eyes are. Now, if you've guessed that the eyes are on the ends of the arms, you are absolutely correct. Starfish have teeny tiny eyes at the ends of their arms. They're called eye spots. They can't see very well, but they can see a little bit, and it helps them to survive. I think starfish are amazing. So next time you're looking in the rock pools, children, see if you can spot any incredible starfish. Now everybody, it's really important to remember how the ocean affects people. Lots of humans enjoy being by the sea. It brings them loads of happiness and pleasure. Lots of humans like to eat fish that were caught in the oceans. And also, ocean plants like seagrass produce oxygen for humans to breathe. But do remember that humans also affect the ocean. That's why it's really important that you look after the ocean and the beaches when you go to the seaside. It's really important to take all your rubbish home with you, because else it will just get swept out to sea and eaten by an animal, or animals might get caught in it. So please put your rubbish in the bin or take it home with you. Also, if you go rock pooling, always use a bucket instead of a net so the animals don't get caught in the holes. Make sure you have 1 animal at a time in your bucket, and also make sure there's a little bit of water in there for them. Always return those animals to where you found them as well. So, the ocean impacts people, people impact the ocean. And you know what, children? I think it's time now, just for a little bit of a story that I've written for you today. And this story is actually called Hulk's New Home. Hulk is a hermit crab who lives here at the National Marine Aquarium. He's one of my good friends, so I wrote this story about him. Hermit crabs are really amazing crabs. They don't grow their own shells. They actually borrow the shells, empty shells of animals who have come to the end of their lives. And what they do is they hook their little tails into the shell, and then they grow a little bit, and when they get too big for their shells, they'll throw away the shells and try and find bigger ones to live in. So hermit crabs are really fantastic little animals. So this story is all about a hermit crab called Hulk. So let's sit back and relax and enjoy. Hulk was a hefty hermit crab. His arms were huge and hairy. He had a big shell, all coiled and red. Some folk found him scary. But the hermit crab had a heart of gold and always helped those in need. His mates thought he was a generous chap, a fine friend indeed. Here we go, everybody. This is what Hulk looks like with his lovely red shell and his lovely big hairy claws. Fantastic. Now one day, Hulk had a problem himself. He'd grown too big for his shell. He searched the rock pools high and low. Oh no, he cried with a yell. For there were no shells around, you see. He'd searched throughout the night. He needed a new one straight away, as his was getting tight. But then, in the distance, he saw something grand. It glowed in the morning light. It was a castle standing tall and proud, such an incredible sight. There were windows and spires and towers and steeples and even a driftwood door. He spotted a seaweed garden too. He'd seen nothing like it before. And this, children, is what the amazing Sandcastle looked like, with its beautiful driftwood door, seaweed garden, towers and steeples and spires. How amazing is that? Fantastic. He admired the castle from afar, thinking it was swell. Perhaps I can live there, he thought. Then I won't need a shell. He said goodbye to his rockpool friends and scuttled across the beach. He imagined living in the great castle, which he longed to reach. Hulk hadn't travelled that far before he encountered a chum. She was another hermit crab who seemed to be rather glum. Ruby had removed her shell and was crawling under a cup. Made of plastic, it crackled and crinkled as she lifted it up. This will not do, she groaned and moaned, placing the cup back down. Ice cream had dripped on her from the cup. She looked at Hulk with a frown. Ruby squeezed back into her shell, which really didn't fit at all. Round and spiralled with an orange hue. It was really far too small. Here is Ruby in her shell that's a little bit too small. And if you look closely, you can see she is covered in ice cream that has dripped on her from that plastic cup. Poor little Ruby. All the shells have gone, Hulk said. But why don't you live with me? I'm on my way to a castle. We should be there in time for tea. Ruby imagined living in a castle, wearing a crown on her head. I could be a princess, she thought. Yes, let's go, she said. Not just one, but 2 hermit crabs now scuttled across the sand. They were so keen to reach the castle, the best in all the land. Soon they saw another friend. He was a hermit crab too. His name was Sid. He was very small, and his shell was bumpy and blue. Sid was perched on a glass bottle, peering in at the top. The bottle was see-through, small and curved. Then he fell in with a plop. Ruby and Hulk grabbed the bottle. They were worried he would drown. Out flew Sid, all soaked in juice, as they turned it upside down. Oh no, Sid, we hope you're okay, yelled out Ruby and Hulk. Sid was sticky and covered in sand. He crossed his claws in a sulk. Here we go. Here's poor Sid with his bumpy blue shell covered in sticky juice and sand. I really do need a new shell, he said, but there are none to be found. Can you guys help me? He asked his friends. I can't see any around. Hulk told Sid about the castle and invited him to go. Sid imagined lazing in the seaweed garden. How could he say no? Not just 1 or 2, but 3 hermit crabs scuttled side by side. A murky mist rolled in from the sea. They took it in their stride. As the hermit crabs continued, the sun started to set. The mist made it hard to see, but the trio didn't fret. All of a sudden, they heard a noise. It was a scraping sound. As they scuttled a little closer, they smiled at what they found. Their old friend Roy was an elderly crab. He was one of their kind. He used his claw to scrape a can. He had something on his mind. It's a metal can, he muttered to himself, and it's tough, that I can see. It's quite shiny and can be scrunched. No, this isn't for me. The trio asked what he was up to. He looked at them quite sad. None of this rubbish would make a good shell. If it vanished, I would be glad. Here we go. Here is the elderly hermit crab, scraping the can with his pointy brown shell, not looking very happy at all. Hulk looked at Roy's battered shell. It was spiky, spotty and brown. He told Roy about the castle. It's over there, a bit further down. Not just one or two or three, but 4 hermit crabs so happy they could sing. Roy dreamed of his retirement home, of a castle fit for a king. The mist was now clearing as the castle came into view. The crabs were so excited, they sang and shouted, woohoo! But as they approached the castle, their little hearts did sink. The castle was made of sand, you see, and was crumbling, starting to shrink. The tide was slowly washing it away as the towers started to fall. The seaweed garden had disappeared, and the castle no longer stood tall. The hermit crabs turned around. What a nasty surprise! They headed back towards the rock pools, with tears filling their eyes. But then they heard humans laughing, as children ran hand in hand. They had been playing all day long with treasures they found in the sand. One was holding a basket filled with shells, hooray! She placed them back where they belonged. It really made Hulk's day. She started to clean up the beach. The other children joined in. Plastic rubbish like bags and forks were picked up and put in the bin. The hermit crabs laughed with joy as they danced in the evening light. They all found a beautiful shell. Each one fitted just right. Amazing, children. I hope you enjoyed that story today. I'm going to leave it there, but I hope you enjoy the rest of World Ocean Day for schools. Carry on looking after the ocean, connecting with the ocean, and learning about the ocean as much as you can. And I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.